So, some of you, Tim, you may remember this. Back late last year, Nathan gave a talk here that when he talked about meeting people and the importance or not of talking about what you do when you meet somebody.
It's a while
And
back.
when he gave that speech, it made me think of something I hadn't really thought about in a long time.
Yeah.
And that was that many years ago, there was a lot of people thought I was a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a dentist. So you may be wondering why people thought I was a dentist. It's because I told them I was a dentist. Now this was not some kind of evil plot to make myself look good or that I wanted to look in people's mouths. Back then I was a trader at the Board of Trade. And I would go to parties or events, and once I told people I was a trader, people were very interested, and they wanted to know all about trading. They'd ask me a lot of questions, what it was like being a trader, what it was like on the floor, what it was like being around all that money changing hands, and they asked me for hot tips and talk about investments. And all that was fine as far as that went, but the problem was that once people found out I was a trader and I'd be at a party, I couldn't get rid of people. People would literally follow me around. And it really made me very uncomfortable. I mean, it was a couple people showing up, where I was okay, but I'd have like an entourage of people following me around, and it really made me very uncomfortable. I really didn't like that. Just people showing up wherever I was, and I finally realized what am I going to do about this? I don't want to offend people, but I really don't want people following me around. So it turned out at that time there was a movie out. I starred Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli. The movie was Arthur. Anyone seen Arthur?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's a funny movie. Dudley Moore plays, he's in a very wealthy family. He's very spoiled. He's in his 30s. He's very immature. He's a good guy. But in the movie, he's about to inherit his portion of the family's wealth, which to him is going to be $500 million. So it kind of follows his story. But when he gets very bored and very tired of living that. He's got those high-class problems of living in that very high-crust strata. And whenever he gets really fed up with that kind of living, he'll just go to he's also an alcoholic, but he'll go to like a dive bar, or he'll go to a Greasy Spoon diner, and when he shows up there, he tells people he's a dentist. And he gets away with that, and I think, I'm going to try that. So from then on, I go to a party or an event, people ask me what I do. I don't tell them I'm a trader, I tell them I'm a dentist. And instead of getting a whole slew of questions, much to my amazement, no one really asked me questions. When I told them I was a dentist, that was kind of the end of that story. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't have any follow-up questions, but what I realized actually that did create a problem for me, because if I wasn't going to talk about what I did for a living, then what was I going to talk about? I mean, do you ever, when you go to a party, you just struggle with what you're going to talk to people about, people you don't know? So I'm thinking about this, and I think actually this is a good thing, because now when I meet people, if I'm not going to talk about what I do for a living, then how am I going to present myself to people? What's important that people see me as a human being, as a person, rather than what I do for a living? So I really have to think about what kind of person I want to present myself as, as an honest person. So I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking this through, and I started thinking about my grandfather. And I have never in my life met anyone like my grandfather. He loved people. He was just truly interested in people. And he was just a common guy. He was, when my dad was growing up, he was a farmer and he drove a truck. And when I was growing up around him, I spent a lot of time with him. He just drove a fuel oil truck. He delivered heating oil to people's homes. But he just loved people. He loved meeting people. He'd go out of his way to meet people. And people loved him. And when he met somebody, he wanted to know all about you. He wanted to know where you're from, where you're going, why you're going there, who do you know. He just wanted to know all about you. And I can remember as I saw him do this so many times when he met people. Eventually, I would just stand there in awe, and I would watch him as he met somebody, and he's asking them questions, and people just warmed up, and he just drew people in. I just thought that was so cool. Back when he finally died, people said that the funeral was the biggest funeral they'd ever seen in my hometown, and he was just a common guy, but people loved him. So my intent is not that I don't want to have the biggest funeral, but I would love to have that kind of connection and that love of people that he had. Some of you may know that this last year, a very well-known poet, Maya Angelou, passed away. And one of her famous sayings that people know her for is she said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." So why not in this new year make it a goal to become more engaged with people? And how do you do that? So really, there's just three things to remember to get more engaged with people. And there's really just three things. One is take a genuine interest, have a genuine curiosity in other people. Second thing is just ask questions, ask people questions. And the third thing is talk about them, not talk about you. And if you really want to be adventurous and all out this year, just even say hello to somebody you don't know.
All right.